Lynn. Yeah. Amazing. Hi, Bailey. It's okay that you can't type. I'm excited too. All right, cool.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. We can do a little banter while we're waiting on some people to jump in. Yeah, we've been working a lot over the weekend, and this is our first time seeing each other. How are you guys doing?
James, how are you feeling?
Good. I've been editing a ton of videos and just so many things. There's just so many things.
Totally. Hey, Sarah. Thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
We're excited. Yeah, it's a strange feeling for me because how long have we been working on this, Fletcher? A year?
Yeah. I think it's I think you and I have been connected on it, for just about a year, or coming up on very soon. And then, but just actual development stuff too. I don't even know if it's been 5 months, So it's been so fast, for sure.
Yeah, it has. To me, the strangest feeling is we've thought about this every day for a year, so it kind of feels like it's already happened.
Yeah.
I feel like the products are already existed.
Oh yeah.
And it's just coming out today. So that's super trippy feeling. It's like a huge milestone to be here, obviously, and we're so excited. And then it's just one of many, many more milestones to come. Hey Dalton, good to see you. Thank you. Yeah, I can't see when people log in. So if you want me to know that you're here, leave a comment and say hi. Otherwise, we can get started as people are trickling in. Some quick introductions. If you don't know me already, my name's Nicole Ayres. I am the CEO of Jauntboards, and I'm super excited for this product. It's if there was ever a technology that mirrored how my brain works, it's this one. So personally, even if nothing ever happened with Jauntboards and it didn't take off and become this big thing, I am so excited to have this for my own selfish reasons. So that feels really good. Fletcher, you want to say hi?
Yeah, Fletcher Groeneman CXO, and I agree. Yeah, this is something I am using personally. It's something that's basically, it feels like an answer to prayer for the past 6 years or so of doing freelance work. I'm like, man, this is so tricky to do these certain tasks and stuff like that, and this just fills the need so well. So it's so fun to not only get to build software and digital products, which I've done for so long, but do one that I'm going to be using daily. It just feels so right.
Yeah, I agree. And James, you want to say hi?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm thrilled that we're actually here launching and doing a live demo. My role has primarily been strategic partnerships at Jauntboards and just getting people on board. And it's been really fun to see what this thing has become over time. So I'm pumped to press go on it all. Yeah, thrilled. It's a great tool for my ADHD brain. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's a really interesting audience to dive into down the road as well.
For real.
I think it solves a lot of problems there. Awesome. So yeah, as people are coming in, I just want to give a little bit of context before we show off the tool and what it looks like today. If you guys don't know, I've been leading an independent agency for the past 5 years called Jumpsuit. And I left the 9-to-5 myself 5 years ago, became a freelancer. I knew that I didn't want to stay a freelancer. I really wanted to build, hey, Brian, I really wanted to build an agency. Brian actually hired me. He helped me transition into the freelance lifestyle. Thank you. It changed my life. And so, yeah, over the past, I guess I would say more realistically, 4 years, I've been building and scaling Jumpsuit. So I am very, very intimately familiar with all the processes required to grow a team, especially a team that's collaborative and remote. Everyone's kind of their own business, choosing to be 1099s together to pull off bigger projects and collaboration. I get that world very much. And obviously there's tools that we use to get the job done. But as I was building my own company, there were some pretty big gaps. And so I'm super excited to have this tool for Jumpsuit. And I plan on spending the next several months just building in public and showing you guys exactly how we're using it. Because I know there's a lot of people here and who are investing in this tool because they are trying to figure out, how do I build my own business? How do I collaborate with other people without having to like be a boss and build this like brick and mortar building with employees? Like there's a new model that really exists that I think this tool empowers. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then just, you know, if you follow me on LinkedIn at all, you've probably seen me say this a million times, but by 2027, over 50% of the workforce will be independent. That blows my mind. I don't think we even understand what that means. Just the power and money dynamics shifting, the way that like, you know, jobs get done in the future, like there's going to be some pretty significant shifts. And right now, the current landscape is like, there's some really amazing companies that are empowering you to be independent. So I think of companies like Fiverr, Upwork, Working Not Working. There's a ton of them, gig economy kind of brands that will basically take a company and connect you and say, here's a project, here's a job, here's a gig, go do it. And so we're like super thankful for companies like that. But the problem is that doesn't really teach you how to build a business, right? You're kind of like, to use the old metaphor, like they just kind of toss you a fish. And when you're hungry and you're living in starving mentality, you're like so thankful for that. But to have something a little more stable and to build a business that you could actually sell someday, I think there's a lot of independent people who aren't even thinking that way. They don't have the tools to do it. 9 to 5 didn't really teach us how to be entrepreneurial and how to build something that could scale and sell. And so that's the gap that we're going to be filling. I think that's super cool. So not only like is Jauntboards going to empower you to do that for yourself, Hannah, it's also going to become a platform that allows us to remain independent, but kind of, to continue the fish metaphor, like link my boat to Fletcher's boat to James's boat and like cast a wider net so we can go after bigger projects with bigger brands. And honestly, we've been testing this model with Jumpsuit, saving a ton of time and money and bringing our expertise to the table, which again, I think is going to change the game quite a bit. So Fletcher, is there anything else you want to say at a high level before we dive into showing off the product?
Or actually, no, I wanted to kind of dive into, I wanted to ask you a quick question too. Like, I'm curious what your emotional journey going from a 9 to 5 to freelance. And then what I was curious, you mentioned like scaling, but I am interested as a business owner for you, you know, like where are the seams when you start to scale, you know, like, because there's a bunch of ways you can scale, obviously, like selling bigger things, getting a bigger team, or whatever. Just kind of curious if we want to dissect that for a second, because it's an interesting story. And then we can talk about how Jauntboards, you know, serves those areas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my first blush with scaling was when a Fortune 500 company reached out to me and was like, hey, we've got $100,000 and we think you're the right person to do this experiment with us. And I needed to build a team. I did have a vision in mind and I was the right person to help them, but like I had to pull in other people to collaborate. So immediately I'm like, okay, I need tools, I need contracts, I need to find the right people. Like I need a good way to collaborate. And fortunately I had a big network of people I could pull in. We've worked together for years, so we figured it out. But as we kept growing, more and more people just needed support, you know, and it's like, it's a weird landscape to navigate because no one's an employee. Like there's certain things that I legally can't have certain standard operating procedures that would trigger the IRS that they should be employees. So there's like this whole world to navigate that I had to figure out. But I would say the challenges with scaling happened when I had to pull, like I couldn't be the only salesperson anymore. And I couldn't be the only person working on the SOWs.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jumpsuit is a relatively full service agency. So it'd be a lot simpler if we're like, we just do video, because then we could have like a product with a process that we just do over and over again. But when I had to pull in a salesperson to help me and say, hey, we sell websites and we sell, media campaigns and mobile apps, and they don't have that experience and expertise to really tell with confidence a client like what that process will look like. Fletcher, we had you on a million calls to like sit down with a client and be like, no, I've built massive tech for like fintech companies before, and here is the process, which was super helpful. And I wouldn't change that. But I needed a tool to help our salesperson really like, I don't know, have a stronger conversation in the beginning and actually be able to speak with some sort of, I don't know, experience and intelligence about what it looks like to pull off something like that. So having Jauntboards for the sales process has been amazing. Also because I have been a career creative director and I'm kind of like a strategic person too. So it's easy for me to hear a client say, hey, I think I need this thing. And then my brain can be like, okay, but do you have this in the beginning and this afterwards to support it? That's like a very consulting mindset that, again, a typical salesperson wouldn't necessarily have. And as a business owner, I want to be helpful and provide the most value upfront when we're scoping the work to actually help a client achieve their goal. But I also I want to, make sure that we're not leaving money on the table either, right?
Yeah.
So the business grew and scaled because I was having those sales conversations and then I was working on the scope of work. But that was really hard to teach other people, especially a sales guy. And then so I started building out a program manager team who actually got in the weeds of the scopes of work, and they would then produce the projects so we could figure out like, did we scope this the right way? Would we do anything differently next time? Is there a better process? And so just to be able to capture all of that and make sure we're always learning and always iterating just becomes really hard to do in like Google Docs, So I don't know if that answered your question. There's probably a million other things I could say,
No,
but those were the biggest pain points for me.
Definitely. And I remember being on calls where it's like, okay, we're kind of going into a new product and it's like, well, that's kind of like this old one. And we pull up the old, estimate or SOW or, level of effort document. And it's like, I guess it's just on this. But the truth is that LOE was built out, like before the project started. And then when we realized things, no one went back to it and like updated it so that when you create that new one, it would, have the latest learning. So, and I love that you spoke to that. Also, I think something I've found too is if I'm ever on a project and there's multiple designers, or if you're even at an agency and they don't quite yet understand the magic of what management even is or how you actually could scale a team. A lot of times you hear things like, oh, we just need to hire another one of you. We just need to hire another unicorn that just knows everything end to end. And I get where that's coming from, but that's really them admitting like, we don't have a real like clear process where other people can just plug in their expertise. We just need someone who knows everything because we never documented it ourselves, And so what was really interesting is like, once the practice came in of putting together a Jauntboard and actually building out what the process looked like, suddenly it's super clear where you can bring in people's specialties. You can have someone who's just really good at branding or putting together a brand package or whatever. And then it connects to someone who's really good at information architecture and wireframing and user testing. And then it can go into someone who's good at UI, UX, and then it can go to, your team that documents your designs or whatever, on anything. Basically, as you discover your process, you suddenly realize, oh, wait, these milestones are actually like a specialty, and I can bring someone in that doesn't need to have expertise in the things above or below. And I just feel like that's such a, for us freelancers, that's such a breakthrough. For people who have been in companies that are more strategic, it's like, well, yeah, that's of course how you have to do it. So what I love about Jauntboards, I feel like it's in a way this Robin Hood story. We're stealing the wisdom and the knowledge that was, reserved for enterprise people, and we're bringing it so that you can start to scale up and actually connect yourself with other people who have skills. So anyway, yeah, it's really, really exciting.
No, that's good. I have one more thing to add that
Please.
popped in my head. As we had there last year, we like doubled our revenue, and so we were growing like crazy. And by then I had tapped out my own personal network of people that I just knew I could plug in and kick ass. And so I'm getting all of these, resumes and portfolios from people I've never heard of before. And they all look the same. Well, some stand out more than others, but like the reality is a portfolio can only tell me this much. I don't know if that person actually is an expert at what they do. I don't know if they're like, a good person for our culture, like easy to collaborate with, or if they're like a giant asshole with a huge ego. Like there's a huge gap. So then we had to create all these systems to like vet people and interview people and this and that. And so the future of Jauntboards to use like AI and people's personal networks to empower scale and being able to resource talent for the right jobs is going to be super like awesome for Jumpsuit.
Can we just poke on one more thing before we go in and kind of look at the software? But I feel like there is right now, like a lot of people have like either jumped in a participant way into freelancing because they wanted to, they're sick of it, or even like kind of been forced into it with all the layoffs that have happened. But there's definitely this moment where you have the skills to do work, but you're just not sure like how to present them and how to basically think of yourself as a company, not just a tradesman. There's a mental shift as well. And anyway, do you want to speak to that just for a second, Nicole? Just that emotional transition.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like it's one thing to present yourself as Nicole Ayres to someone who knows you.
Yep.
Or is like first or second party outside of your circle. I branded myself as a company from the beginning. I am naturally more entrepreneurial, and I knew that I didn't want to stay a freelancer, but I think that's a big thing on people's minds. Like, how do I even present myself? And as I've been building Jauntboards too, I'm like, okay, so obviously like Jumpsuit will have its Jauntboard, and that's my company. But what would my own personal one look like? You know, not that I have a ton of spare time right now, but like, just to imagine it, I'm like, well, like I could consult agencies, I could consult startups, I could do something different. And so that even opens up the opportunity for me, if I wanted to prioritize carving out a little bit of time to put myself out there and say, hey, I'm interested in doing these things too. We're talking a lot about freelancers because I think like we suspect that might be the biggest audience that uses this. But we also recognize that that's a big bias that we bring to the table because that is our story. We've spent the past couple of months also interviewing other types of independents, solopreneurs, creators. So the creator economy is huge, right? Like creators are working with big brands and creators are trying to figure out how to monetize their audience. And there's a lot of excitement about this tool for them because it helps them present as professional. It helps them put themselves out there and say, hey, here's all the different ways that you could activate me. Here's all the different ways that you can pay me. And so we've begun exploring different verticals like that, even into some more common service oriented businesses like real estate brokers, real estate agents. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen their YouTube ads, but they are hustlers, right? So they're they're immediately getting this tool and the value for them. So, what we don't want to do is just be like, this is a tool for everybody. We really want to go into the market, a little more zeroed in. But when you do look at the future and you see that 50% of their workforce will be independent and 70% of all employees right now want to have a side hustle. They want to have their own thing. They just don't know how to take that jump.
Yes.
There's no platform that is owning that space right now. Like, I need to do this here.
Right.
And so that's the really interesting opportunity for us to figure out.
Yeah. You called it an attitudinal persona, which actually, I mean, I wish I had a sexier name, but it makes so much sense. It's for people who are thinking of themselves as a business, and suddenly you're like, oh, I need to scale. I need to add other people into this. I need to bring them in and present it different. I wanted to touch on one story that really opened my eyes to the power of even just presenting and kind of understanding the strategy before you move in and close a sale of any kind. That was a company or a client I worked with like maybe 2 years ago now. And it was really interesting the way the circumstances worked, but basically I was able to work for this company through a different company. So I was basically brought in to a company that worked with much larger clientele. So, we were working with projects that were still really large, absolutely. And in our minds, it was like, okay, how do you even scale from here? But it was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars we were selling, work at. And then I had this interesting opportunity to work with someone through a company that was much more, much higher, like consulting group essentially. And what I was so surprised when I came in on the team and I was watching, and I watched them, close this deal, and we started doing work. First of all, what they closed the deal out was asked like 10 to 30 times more than what we had been doing before. And that just surprised me. I'm like, okay, well, we must be delivering 10 to 30 times more, value and things to it. And as I got on board and I started learning and kind of seeing what was unpacking, I realized they are providing the same type of service I've been doing for a long time, right? But just at a different multiplier, so much crazier than mine. And it reminded me of that age-old, like, whatever saying of like, you can have two vases. And, one's in the front of the store and it's $5, and one's in the back of the store and it's $500. And but they're both the same vase, and someone goes and finds us like, why is this? And the seller's like, well, some people want to buy a $5 vase, and people want to buy a $500 vase. And again, I don't want to diminish like the actual quality of work, but there is a truth that if you can strategically present something, if you can get a client to trust you fully, that actually comes with value. That isn't pulling the wool over someone's eyes or anything. It is saying like, I have done this before. I know how to get there. And that's what this company had done. They had very well, put together what the journey is going to look like over the next 2 years as we did the work in just insane detail. Like, this is how we're going to get there together. This is the exact steps we're going to take. This is where we did it in the past. And that trust gave them a much larger or scaled up, basically, value, for the work you do. Anyway, I just want to touch on that because it's something I found also in my own life as I've gone through the practice of opening up what my process is. I have noticed that you reap benefit of people trusting you, because they're like, okay, I see, because they're going on a journey with you, right? They're getting in your car, and if you're a stranger, that's not safe to do. But if you have a map and you tell them this is where we're going, this is how we're going to get there, and they can follow along, they trust you, and they actually it becomes so worth so much more. So anyway, just a really interesting kind of mentality that comes into this product as well.
Yeah, amazing. Well, let's take a look at it.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. I'm just going to share my whole screen here because it'll be easier to jump around at the end. Okay, sweet. Let me log out and let's talk through some of the cool goodies we have here. First of all, I want to talk the way we just log. I know it's not super sexy, but just even logging in is kind of really, really fun. It's really simple. We're using and LinkedIn to be able to log in quickly. And what we love about this is actually when you log in, we have this ability to basically connect. You can be invited to different companies. So this isn't a case where us as freelancers, we're going to work for a lot of different companies. And so you will be invited to, Jumpsuits Jauntboard, right? Or a different company's Jauntboard. And so you're going to get invited, and you can have the ability to accept and decline those invites, or just jump into your own account right at the beginning, which is really nice. So it's this nice kind of experience to jump straight into the app. And let's actually go in now to the one we're going to do most of our work in, which will be this jumpsuit one here at the top. Awesome. Okay, so here we are. We're in Jumpsuits Jauntboards. You can see we have our drafts working. We have some of the stuff that's live. We're actually going to go through that methodically. But before we do that, I want to talk about a new feature we rolled out, which is vanity URLs. So when we did the beta launch a while ago, everyone had a URL that you could share out. Basically, you can go in and have a client view of everything. But those views were just a scattered number of, X's, Y's, and zeros and ones. But what we've actually unlocked now is the ability to have a vanity URL. So you can actually put in a real clean, like jauntboards.app/jumpsuit. We're in the staging environment. So this is staging jumpsuit. And this is really exciting across the board, actually. And eventually here in the next month, we're going to have clean URLs even down to the project level. But this just makes it so much easier to share. I don't know how many of you use, other apps out there, even like Figma and stuff like that. But the URLs are so long, they just disappear off the right of the, your screen. And it's hard to know what URL you have. But in this case with Jauntboards, we're actually unlocking, vanity URLs. So you can claim yours. And actually, Nicole, I don't know if you want to talk to that for a second, just about jumping on, even just to claim yours quickly, because obviously those are all reserved, right? When you come in and you get yours, that'll be your URL for Jauntboards.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you just kind of said it, but I think, when Threads came out or, TikTok, it's like there's that like gold rush, like I gotta get Nicole Ayres or, whatever your handle is. I think it'll be really important to secure your vanity URL here, because the idea is that this becomes kind of like your digital business card.
Yeah.
So when you're out in the world and someone says, "Hey Jill, what do?" You can send them to Jauntboards. They over time, as people learn about the platform, they can even just look to see if you're there. So I think that'll be really important for us to stake our claim, building our businesses here.
And eventually, also, I'm thinking, when you give clients a view, right? They won't have to remember. Like, this is really about making the experience really amazing for your clients, that they can trust you, that they can watch the work getting done as it progresses. And so, because our minds are focused on what makes the client experience seamless and easy, well, one of them is not having to go digging around for what that URL is. If you can remember it, that's a huge plus, right? They don't have to go back and search their email. And I mean, so many of us have sent that email of here's the link, and then a week later they're like, hey, can I get that link again? Because it's easier for them to just email you and ask for it than it is for them to search for it. So yeah, again, the vanity URLs is going to make it such a good experience for our clients, so that they can quickly go in, log in, find the board that they've been working on. Eventually, even having like client landing pages. So if there's multiple project streams, working with a client, they can jump between those different boards to see progress on the work done. So that's exciting. So let's talk real quick about just creating kind of some of the mechanics of building and creating a Jauntboard itself. So I'll build a new Jauntboard. We'll just call it a website design. Sounds good. All right, so let's create this. So, okay, so here we are. We just built our first draft. This will be a lot of your experience as you jump in for the first time. But essentially, we're building out our first Jauntboard. This is a service or a guide or something you're wanting to offer the world, right? So they can kind of follow through what your exact process is. So right off the top, you have images that you can kind of add in here, but we've also included, let me go in and edit board details. You can also do, I have a link right here. You can also put in YouTube links, which is awesome, and add those in. So now you have videos that can play at the top, update that. And so basically this allows you to kind of be the voiceover. When clients visit and see what your process is, you can show examples, or if you record a walkthrough of it going on, or final products that you've done, that all kind of encapsulate what this process gets you to the end. So that's awesome. That's exciting that we're introducing video headers. We're excited about that. Basically, you'll start to create your process. So we always add like kind of a first phase here, but you'll go in and just start putting in what your steps are. It's really easy to add these in. And once you're done, you kind of build out what your core steps are. This is the way we've been using it. And then you kind of go in with more granularity and like, okay, this first step, needs a description. You can add a description, edit the milestones. You can rearrange them. We can add a new phase here, second phase. And we'll switch over to a real one so it's easier to follow after we do this for a little bit. It's going to add some junk data. And you can rearrange your phases. Everything's drag and drop. You can actually pull, steps into other phases. So what we like about this is interesting. Nicole, we can talk about this for a second, but we've realized that there is building a Jauntboard isn't as easy as it looks as far as the mindset of people. They have to get out of kind of their head. They need to get into a place where they're thinking about this from further away. So what we started doing is actually doing what we call hibachi design sessions. And I don't know if you want to talk to that, Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys have ever been to a hibachi restaurant, it's pretty cool. They're like cooking in front of you, with you. And so Fletcher's been doing this with our clients for a very long time in his UX UI process. But what we've been able to offer our beta users and then moving forward the public is the ability to spend kind of like a power hour with us, where maybe if you don't know exactly what your process is, or you want some like feedback on how to really make a super valuable jaunt board, we can get in there with you and start to build in real time. And it's, it exposes a couple things, right? Like obviously it's like we can help you create a process that's not too in the weeds. There's project management tools for getting in the weeds, by the way, right? There's Monday.com and Jira and Asana. We can link to those. We'll show you that in a second. But this is really that high level view of like, here are the main phases, the main milestones, the big picture. We can help you guys organize that. But obviously we've been obsessively thinking about this product and the different like flow, like affiliate link opportunities and all this stuff that could really help you create a powerful board. So if that's something where you guys are feeling stuck, like I feel like I want some feedback, or I feel like this could probably be really cool for my industry, but I don't quite know how to build this out, our team's available to help with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's been really fun actually to do those sessions. We've done a few of the hibachi kind of Jauntboard sessions. And what's interesting is they'll start with like, well, I don't know, I just kind of do this simple thing. And it's like, well, let's just describe it. And then they start talking and they basically like just monologue this beautiful, unique process of how they, do what they do, and us just capturing it for them and then helping them maybe organize it or help them word certain pieces. And at the end of it, they look at this thing like, oh, this is exactly what I do. This is amazing. I can't believe I do this. This is where like they get this like huge, overwhelming feeling of like, this is something I could totally sell. I can't wait to show this to, my friends and actually like get people excited about, as excited as I am about it. So it is a really fun, it's kind of an emotionally rewarding experience to do it.
Totally. And if that's how your brain works and you're like, oh my God, a dream job,
yeah,
we're going to need process experts, jaunt board experts down the line too. So just reach out to me and let me know that that'd be something you'd be interested in.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we talked a little bit about just creating it. It's fairly simple. You're building phases and milestones. You're also adding in example links so that people, this is really important, right? When people are looking at the process you're doing, obviously you can speak to it, but it means so much more to actually give them examples of like, okay, we're going to do landscape analysis, but let's actually link to an example we've done in the past. This is where everything is about building trust with a client. And so it lets you put in these example links. And then that way, when a client's viewing this on their own, they can also jump into those and kind of get a feel for what's going on. So it's like the tool essentially, which is really, really exciting. So one thing we also added, we realized when you're viewing this as a client, obviously, here at the top, we start a proposal or move a project, but there's a lot of cases where maybe it's not something you're going to start a proposal or do a project. It's like a guide or something, or even you're exposing a process you do, but you just want them to get in contact with you. So we're introducing these call to actions that go at the bottom of your jaunt board. And what this does, it lets you fully customize, the title, description, as well as any links you want to. So in this case, we've linked it to a Calendly, or even an email, which kind of has it pre-filled with a query. But this is a great way to get a CTA out to the public, right? So when you're sharing it with clients or whatever, and you want to create that flow where they're looking and they want to be activated, obviously they can call you. And if you are an agency style, you can actually start a proposal. But if it is just something where you're exposing like a process or something that you do, and they actually need that like a moment with you to kind of unlock it fully, you can add that at the bottom.
Yeah, and I mean, I think most people know what Calendly is at this point, but I don't know that everyone knows that Calendly has a feature now that people can pay you. So obviously, like if it's this is my philosophy. If it's a discovery call where someone might be a potential client and I need to have a moment with them to build trust and help answer questions, that's generally free. So that would allow them to hit Calendly, show up on my calendar or my sales guy's calendar and have that touch base. But if I was building a jaunt board, like I'm working on one right now called How to Build an Independent Agency, so I can help every freelance in the world who wants to, do something similar to what I know how to do. That's not like a conversation that I have capacity for to have over and over and over again for free. So what I could do is link a Calendly and say, hey, I cost this much per hour, but I'm happy to help answer any questions. And then they can just show up on my calendar and Calendly will make that transaction so I can get paid immediately. So that's a pretty cool thing that I think most people, even in like outside of freelance and agency world, like my sister's in education and she's trying to figure out how she can consult with other teachers as a side hustle and get paid for it. And she just doesn't know the digital world very well. And so being able to have that integration is pretty game changer.
Yep. It's gonna be really, and it's super customizable. I'm just kind of pulling this up now. You put in your title, description, whatever that left image is that you want to put in, and then basically you just set up as many CTAs as you want. So it could be email, Calendly, maybe even a push to another jaunt board, right? You're like, hey, this is the house buying process, but are you interested in selling your house? Click here to go look at that. It's just kind of a nice way to bookend, this experience. Okay, so we've kind of looked at creating one from a draft. You can see this one's kind of built out more MVP brand guidelines. You could do videos at the top here. We have the nice clean URL. So when you share this out actually, we can even open the client view here. This is what you could share to a client. You can see it kind of strips out all the jaunt board lingo, so it feels more white label. They have access to kind of jump into these example links. They can, just kind of get to know your process. And this obviously would happen if you are an agency. This happens before the sale. This is just getting to know you. Otherwise, they can give you a call or use the CTA to kind of move things forward to the next step. But let's look at that next step real quick. So first of all, just to talk about the utility of this. So you build all your jaunt boards in draft mode. So this is where you can work on them as a team. You can start new ones. You can build them out, invite other people to come in and edit on them. And then once you feel like it is in a good place, and sometimes these take a while, right? I mean, some of these, even the ones we've been building for Jumpsuit, this is years and years and years of expertise being like distilled and like crystallized, right? Which is an incredible process. So sometimes you sit here for a little bit as you really are trying to mull through, how do I present this in the best way? How do I get all the links, right, to show examples for each of the milestones? It's just a process and it takes a bit. So those sit in draft, and while they're in draft, they're not visible to the public. So when clients, if you ever want to share this, your new business card, they'll see something like this, right? They see your logo. They'll see any of the boards you've put into that are published. And you'll see how we do that here in a second, but they won't see any of the drafts that are set up. So that way it's a safe place for you to work on those. But once you are ready and you want to move them over, you just hit this top right icon and you hit move board. And then you're going to move it over to whatever services you have ready. So in this case, we could do digital marketing. And that brings it into this section here. Everything in this section, this digital marketing, that's what's being viewed by clients or by the public, which is, so that's super nice. What we did also is we realized that a lot of people just think of themselves as like one offering to give, right? It's like, okay, I do design or I do real estate. So in that case, they just pump everything into this one jaunt board offering page, right? It looks like this and has your name, it has links to your website, LinkedIn, and then those boards exist here. However, there are agencies that, as you grow and scale, and hopefully this will happen for a lot of people as actually they even use Jauntboards, but as you begin to build trust with clients, and how many times has this happened to you, Nicole, where you have a client that loves and trusts you, and they ask you, oh, I love that you did this for me. Can you also do this? And
totally.
Yep.
That's how we scaled as a company.
Yeah.
They trusted us with one thing and said, what else do you do? And as a matter of fact, if you go to jauntboards.app/jumpsuit, you can even, if you want to, show what we look like right now, because that'll introduce the idea of categories up top.
Yeah, and I was going to switch those on too. We can see how that switches over. Yeah. So here's jumpsuits, actual active live. If you guys go to it right now, you'll see this here. But you can see, yeah, jumpsuit has expanded, right? They have a bunch of different offering categories. Let's look at how you actually turn that on too. So here I am over here right now. I'm just, just thinking things as I just do digital marketing. But at any point I can click this dot and then go into enable categories. So that lets me now create those new category buckets, and I can move those offerings into those different buckets. And now if I come back and I refresh, and again, it just instantly happens. You can see that creative and branding categories exist. And now people can think of you more. You can kind of guide them through the conversation a bit more. I think even there's some video companies we talk to too that do, think very differently about live action versus motion graphics versus animation. This is a nice way to just bring in that categorical view so people can kind of drill into the services that you offer in each of those categories. But this could be whatever you want to, they're just labels for category viewing. Awesome. Okay, so once you have built out your draft Jauntboards and got them to a place you want, you've moved them into a category, you can obviously begin to share your clean URL with people, let them kind of peruse what your offerings are. But that's not even beginning to show off the magic that Jauntboards is. So let's look at actually taking one of these and moving it through a project itself. So I'm going to open up this MVP brand guidelines. And again, I'm logged in, so this is my team view. So this goes back to what Nicole was talking about right away. Salespeople that maybe aren't so familiar with the entire exhaustive process of how you build and create a design can just walk through this like a script and be like, this is how we're going to do it, and this is how it's going to work. You're setting expectations right off the bat with what the work is going, what kind of work it's going to take to get this accomplished. And let's say the client is interested and they want you to put together a proposal. Or if they want to jump in, you can also start a project. But in this case, let's start a proposal. So we will start a proposal here for AT&T, sure. And they want a new logo. Awesome. Okay, so once you've done that, you basically go into this proposal mode. So you can see now we brought in these statuses, and this is this nice conversation you had. We've done a few of these now, where you're talking with the client, like, yeah, we're interested in that. However, we've already done, the creative brief. So you can say, okay, the client's going to provide that, or, we don't want you guys to do the math, so you can skip that step right here. And you get to see this kind of being created. Also, what you can do as you kind of go through and set all your statuses for your milestones, you can also put in a proposal deck. So this is really clean as well. I just have this one open. You just grab that URL, paste it in, hit save, and then it actually grabs it and puts it in for you. So what's cool about this is it lets you have a voiceover when you're not in the room, right? When you send this URL, so let's look at the client URL again. Let's say you maybe want to present this yourself, but then they get to walk away and you get to send this off to them, and they get to see everything you presented to them, and then exactly what the steps are that they're going to go through. They can open them up, look at the different example links that you've connected to this, and basically make that decision. But you're getting to basically be there without being there. This is everything. This is your process, how you're going to get there, example links for each of these, and your presentation, sending this one clean URL to them. It's just a game changer for actually closing the deal and setting expectations right at the beginning before you start the work.
Yeah, I got a couple of things to add to this.
Yeah.
If you can get a client talking to you and collaborating on an SOW, you are further ahead than anyone else you're competing with who are also sending over proposals. So there's one insight. The other thing too is you can have your ideal process, but clients have, timelines and budgets and partner agencies and a lot of factors that don't ever really make it easy for you to completely productize something exactly the way you'd maybe prefer. And so Jauntboards is really I think the best collaboration tool on defining a scope of work. And like Fletcher's pointing out, it looks so professional. I think it will help build a ton of confidence up front. So anyway, there's a lot of reasons to be excited about the ability to co-create a scope of work with a client at this phase.
This is really interesting too. I mean, we did a project that was more of in a consulting realm, and I think with consulting, because there's not like you're not driving to some like really clearly defined deliverable, you're more exploring something with them. This was extremely helpful because it showed that there was a strategic plan of how we're going to investigate, how we're going to compile that data, and how we're going to present it at the end. And where I have absolutely in the past on engagements like that realize the client doesn't know like where are we, is this really what we're going to have happen. But this what we every meeting we pulled it up at the beginning and we said, okay, this is what we've done so far, this is where we're at right now, and this is what we're going to do next week. And they just got this constant sense of like security that like, okay, they promised to do this and now they're going through it methodically and we're working through it so much so that they were able to share it with their executives, right? They were able to like just push this URL up to them to show them, hey, this is update that we're doing on this engagement with this agency. Awesome. So once the client bites and he wants to work with you, you can hit start project. That moves it into the active project state. Now we're going from this just basically we take away the presentation at the top, and then we have these different statuses. So now we can move things from not started to in progress. And then as they're in progress, you're going to add, your links. Just put some example stuff in here. You're going to add your links to the deliverables as you build them, obviously to whatever you're building it in. And then once you've completed it, move it to completed. Or in some cases, if you do want client approval, they give you verbal approval, you move it to approved. Or you can also, move that into skipped, and in some cases locked. This is really nice too. There's been a few projects we're on where it's imperative that we get approval because we cannot go back and make the change. So this is a great visual way to show like, okay, we've done this, you've approved it, and now it's fully locked and we can't, go back and tweak that at all. But one thing to talk through with even these links you upload, this is pretty cool. So I'm going to click on this and then come back in here. And you're going to see that we have this analytics built in. So you can see we have one unique view on that, total clicks 1. I'll click on it again and come back here. And you can see there's 2 total clicks, 1 unique. Why this is so important is we realized as we were putting together processes, and actually over the last 10 years of working, I realized that getting engagement data, what I started doing is actually I put all of my delivers through tiny URL. And because it gave me stats on like if people were clicking into my Figma prototype or not, because there's valuable data in there. If people are actively engaging in the deliverables you're giving them, it means that they're more present, that they're actually able to approve things with like true scrutiny. And at the end of the project, you get a much better experience because they felt like they were on the journey with you, not just kind of unsure what was going on and not really investigating the different deliverables you're giving them. So we are baking, we're baking analytics straight into these links. So you can see the amount of integration and clicking that you're getting on that. And then of course on the client view, to open that again, so this is an active project. This is how their view works, right? They just see, again, it's nice and clean, and they just see, they can't change the, the statuses. They just see the uploads you did. None of the analytics are shown here. But this is the way they're going to view your project.
One of my favorite things about this page is that like a lot of times there's so much work that goes into creating an SOW, and then it's like agree, handshake, and then both the client and the team forgets about it until there's an issue. It never feels good to revisit the SOW because that means there's like some sort of confusion or issue happening always. Now the SOW is right in front of you the entire time. And it feels good. It feels natural. And so, for example, like if you see that there's something skipped there, if at any point in time a client is showing their boss who's, like a stakeholder and say, wait, why are we skipping the manifesto? Or why are we skipping SEO with the website? Hold on, that's a bad decision. Well, it's like, okay, well, that was the SOW, but we can easily unskip that and create an incremental SOW. So in a way, not to say that they have to pay money and have, buy the manifesto if they don't actually need it, but it's just a constant reminder of like, this is a best in class process. And for some reason we decided to skip this thing. So it's always maybe in the, back of your head as an incremental opportunity.
Yeah. I love that, Nicole. It's a subtle way to be like, I wish you would have trusted me at the beginning. I've definitely been on projects that went off the rails, and there's learning that everyone can do from that. I don't want to ever like just be like, yeah, it's all the client's fault. But in general, there's moments where it's like, well, to save time or money or whatever, you skip the entire discovery phase, where we actually get fully onboarded. So we didn't have a clear goal of what we were building. And so when the client makes that decision, and they have the final say, they're the one writing the check. But what this lets you do is say, this is how I've gotten there to the top before successfully. You can even see the final results and it's successful and the awards or whatever. But then if they're like, no, I'm a stickler, we're going to provide this or we're going to skip this. It is a subtle way that you don't have to continuously remind them like, I wish we wouldn't have skipped that. They just see, oh yeah, we skipped the manifesto. That would have been probably really helpful in this part of the phase. And it's great because it's a conversation of trust. Like, you don't want the client to just leave upset. You want them to see and maybe even work through it, maybe where they skip something at first, but they're like, oh, I should have trusted you. And then the second time you get work, which is when the real money happens, right? They can trust you more and actually allow everything that you're presenting to them to go through.
Yeah. Hey, Fletcher, I want to just give you a 10-minute warning.
Oh, yeah.
I want to have a little bit of room for questions. So
okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, then I'll just, let me kind of briefly go through. So we've looked at adding the deck and a proposal, activating the project. Once that project is complete, you're going to move it and complete and create a case study. So a case study, this is super interesting. This is a whole world that we're realizing not a lot of people are really capitalizing on. Case studies are typically done clumsily, even sometimes years after the work was done. And so you even forget like how you really did things or how you made decisions. And they're also built, anyway, the narrative themselves is kind of broken. But in this case, because the SOW became the work and then the work was all tracked here, it instantly becomes a case study. In the case study, you can obviously add a video at the top and images of the final product. And then also you have the ability to hide or show different steps. So there is definitely cases where the client doesn't want the public or whatever to see certain proprietary steps or maybe deliverables. So you can just quickly switch those to hidden. And then when you go over to the client view, basically that's how they're going to see it, right? They're going to only see the different steps that are visible to everyone, which is pretty awesome. Do you want to talk to that at all, Nicole?
Oh, I mean, if you can have something that a client is proud to showcase internally, and they're kind of like selling you for you in a lot of ways, which is super exciting. Also, I mean, they'll be able to find you. They can click on that jumpsuit logo and then be taken to your page and be able to see all the things that you do. So this is a huge opportunity for you to grow your business that way. And obviously you can use it in sales and marketing on your own with your client's permission, of course, to showcase the work that you've done with someone else. So yeah, super huge. We're getting a lot of feedback from people who are like, this is the feature. This is the thing that will make me buy Jauntboards, which is really interesting.
That is really interesting. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool. And there's also some cool updates on the horizon, even for this over the next few months that we're really excited about. That's going to complete the loop, right? So when you push things into a case study, it'll actually take that logo lockup, bring it back over to your marketing boards, and it'll actually say, hey, this MVP brand guideline has been done for Disney and Epson and whatever. You can put the logo band will be there, and they can actually directly link to those case studies, which is really cool. We're just trying to complete that loop. We want our case studies to help you build trust at the beginning of the sale. And so we're going to integrate that, all the way back as a nice feedback loop.
Awesome. All right. Would you have time to talk to the ability to gate content?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at that real quick. So we've been talking a lot about, the big money moment here is people asking you to do the work, right? To build a proposal, do the actual work. We do know that there are a lot of people, they're creators, or people just like that maybe don't want to do the work itself. And I don't know if you want to talk to that mentality at all, Nicole. You know that space really well.
Oh, I mean, as you become more expert at what you do, and I think just older in general, it's like you get tired, you're like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I can make money for what I know and not what I do? And also like there's a lot of people who really want to mentor and help. Like I know Fletcher, you're like that, there's just so many designers that like if they just had a chance to learn from you, who has worked with almost 50% of Fortune 50s, there's a lot of value. It's like, how do you get paid for that?
Yeah.
We didn't anticipate Jauntboards being that, but as we started showing people this tool that really unlocked unlocked, pun intended, the opportunity to gate these and allow you to make money from both what you do as well as what you know.
Yep. So yeah, it's a great tee up. So basically, you know, at the moment, this is ungated. So when you share this link, people can come in and actually inspect, look at the descriptions, go into the links, and, you know, actually like kind of do this process and look at it themselves. But in those cases where you want people to actually pay to view it in the first, maybe you're not going to push them over to, you know, creating a proposal or project. You actually now have the opportunity to gate this contact, and you can do it in a number of ways. You can do it as an email. In that case, when you gate it in that way, when you come over here, it'll basically require people to, actually, I'm going to copy this and put it into I'm logged in on that one. So you can see here, this is now what has happened. Now those phases are all locked. I can't actually get into them or view them or even on our different asset URLs. And we're actually so we're keeping that step hidden. And then they just need to unlock that with email. They'll click that, they'll basically sign in, and then it'll unlock for them. And what's really nice about this, you can start to collect an email list, right? So that's a really cool feature. What we're super excited about is the fact that you're also able to gate it behind a paywall. So you can actually do it to paid, and you can set the amount. We'll just set it to, you know, $200. Gate. And come back over here. And you can see now it says unlock for $200 in the same flow. Basically, they'll log in, and we're actually using the same technology that they use for Uber and DoorDash, which is pretty cool, to set you up as a merchant, and then you can actually sell on here. It's so seamless. I mean, it's like a 4-step process to get ready and actually unlock. It takes about 5 minutes for you to take a Jauntboard that you've built, add a money gate to it, and then start making income in a brand new way.
Yeah, it's awesome. Gosh, we only have a couple more minutes. The one thing I'll say that I'm so excited about is at Jumpsuit, we have all these subject matter experts, people who've been doing certain disciplines for 15 years. And so what we're doing is actually productizing our expertise so we can train up a whole new generation of freelancers. So essentially, when they spend $500 to unlock one of these things, they're not just getting access to the process and our templates and whatever. We're actually there training them, almost like a master class.
Yep.
Here's how I set this up with a client. Here's my approach. Here's how I lead this workshop. So that's going to be super exciting to be able to offer the public. But we've got a couple questions, Fletcher.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if there's a way to add in pricing for a proposal.
Yeah, so we are. So actually, let me kind of show you a cool hack. We are looking at maybe implementing that really specifically. We actually did this for a recent project. What I did is on a proposal here, I created a phase, and I basically just built a new phase, and the phase was called whatever, overall pricing or whatever. I did this to actually break it into sections, but we'll just call it price or whatever, $200, 3 weeks or whatever. And if you don't add any milestones, I'm going to drag this up to the top here. And again, I just want to show you, the reason I want to show you this is specifically because I'm realizing as we are using it more, there's some really cool hacks, and we're excited to watch people hack this product, because what it lets us do is understand how people are using it more, and then we can actually build in a default function for it. So you can see here, now I have this nice section that we just take out the white background on the right side. That way you can kind of either use it as chapter marks, you can put it above certain phases, like, okay, this is section 1 or month 1 through 3, or even use it to display pricing and stuff like that here at the top. Use it. Give us a comment on how you would like to see that work, because we are here to listen to you and make sure your experiences work the best. Nice.
Okay, so I'm going to drill through a couple things. No, Jauntboards cannot be crawled by search. Yeah, they would have to be featured in an article. That's something that's definitely on our radar. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to start a Slack channel. We're going to be building in public. We're going to show you guys all the things that make a Jauntboard successful. We're going to collaborate with each other. We have such a big vision for the future of this. You're literally looking at our MVP or version 1. I don't know, Fletcher, if you want to really quickly talk about the top 2 or 3 things in the future roadmap
Yeah.
that you're super pumped
And
about?
also just to talk to security, everything can be secure. You can have people either totally available to the public, which is what we've been seeing. You can also lock it down to only people invited to the Jauntboard, and then you actually have to invite them directly, so it cannot be, crawled or found any other way. And then eventually we're also going to have password protection, so you can actually add a password to this, and then they can get the link, but they need a password to get there, which is cool. And then as far as the future, I mean, there's so many ways we could unpack that, but one is a product marketplace. Right now, you can share these links with people and they can get access to them, but we want a place where you can centralize that. You can actually publish it to our marketplace, and that way you can get discoverability and you can find other freelancers, or people can find you and buy your services, which is very exciting. We are really interested in developer marketplace for those nascent integrations, or even ways that people want to kind of modify the software. So we are definitely looking at using our public API to let developers actually build modifications to the platform itself. And then AI integration, we just have to talk about it because it's 2023, but definitely looking at integrating AI to do low-hanging fruit, like help auto-populate or build and create or assist you in the creation of a Jauntboard. Beyond that, actually helping it show you where you diverge from maybe industry standard in a good way, where it's like, okay, this is what most people do when they do XYZ, and this is what you're doing. And also looking at the analytics itself and says, okay, you're getting a lot of traction on that. You should gear your offering or word it in this way to get more people interested. That's just a few. I mean, we have a huge backlog of awesome ideas that we're rolling out. We'll probably just do a special episode just to kind of go through those.
Awesome. Yeah, Fletch, I know you have a hard stop, so feel free to bounce. I can kind of
Awesome.
carry us home here. Amazing.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Thanks
all
all.
of that. Yeah. Yes, Fletcher is he has a brilliant mind. He's really able to build the software of the future. So it's been really fun partnering with him. Yeah, I mean, I can hang on for a few more minutes if there are any additional questions. Thank you, Jason. James, if I've missed anything, you can maybe bring me back to him. One thing that I will say that I'm really excited about is when we have a future marketplace, if you want to expand your capabilities, like let's say you have a client and they've trusted you with one thing and they said, hey, you're a creative guy, like, can you do our website? Well, the reality is if you're a designer, you can do part of a website, right? You can do maybe the UX UI, but you can't do the copy, and you can't make all the videos, and you can't do the SEO, and you can't do the dev. And so a lot of times you'll miss out on that opportunity. Unless the client's willing to wrangle a team and pull you in, right? Just as a freelancer. With Jauntboards, this is going to enable any person who wants to be able to say yes to that opportunity, go buy a process if they don't already know how to do it, and be able to assemble a team of 1099s to pull off that work. So obviously you can tap people that you know and collaborate with them. But in the future, we'll use AI to actually help pair you with the right people for the right process. So it's really essential that any independent begins building on Jauntboards right away, so that AI will be able to learn, okay, this is this kind of designer. This person has experience with enterprise. Like when I'm comparing a website process from person 1 to person 2, there's a million ways to make a website, by the way. There's like no code websites, and there's, custom, like crazy big website projects that take like a year or two to accomplish, like, and everything in between. So the more people that can be building their own processes and putting in their work and making videos, the more AI will be able to make those smart recommendations. We're also going to have a feature that will, I've been calling it like Captain Planet. So it's like, me plus Fletcher plus, Scotty plus Sarah, we can combine our processes and make a custom, project essentially. So we'll be able to empower individuals to compete like agencies without having to really fully build the infrastructure that a lot of agencies have to build. Let's see. Do you have any processes or Jauntboards ready to buy right now? Yeah, so we have literally just rolled out. I don't even know if it's live yet. It's happening today. The gated feature is going live today. So there's nothing to buy yet, but definitely start building. And Jumpsuit has a lot of drafts in the queue that we'll be rolling out, for example. So just make sure you're following along on LinkedIn, and we'll show you guys how we're doing that. Any other questions? Is this exciting? Like you guys feel like this is I don't even know how many people are in the chat still. Is there like any unique ideas that are coming up for you and how you might personally use it? Cool. James, are you still here? Well, I guess our host, yeah, there there he is. I don't know if you're able to see how many people are in the room. I only see what pops up in the chat, but
yeah, there's like 15, 20 people watching right now.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, I mean, I'll just remind you guys of a couple things. If you get stuck and you need help, we are available. We've got a lot of resources. We've got a how to build a Jauntboard that is really helpful. It's a free resource for you guys. If you should be getting an email, that'll be our first email that comes out. So that'll take you there. That'll be a really good guide. Like I said, if you have the need to actually sit down with someone and have them help consult, we have that opportunity as well. And then the last thing I'll say, you've probably seen this QR code in the upper left. We officially today are launching a public crowdfunder opportunity to invest in Jauntboards. So we've gone through an angel round. We've opened it up to friends and family. Now the ability to invest in this product is open to all of you. So you can go to wefunder.com/Jauntboards and learn more about it. Or you can just obviously scan the QR code. WeFunder, if you guys haven't heard of it, it's a really cool company. They, I don't know, like if you know much about investing in tech, but back in the day, like you had to basically already be rich to be able to invest. So they call it being an accredited investor. So it kind of just perpetuated the rich getting richer because one tech works, you tend to see like a pretty high multiplier. WeFunder actually lobbied to change the law so that anyone could invest in tech. And so they won. They now have a platform that makes it super easy. It's almost like Kickstarter in a way, maybe a little more professional because you have to work with the SEC and crazy stuff like that. But they made it easy for anyone to invest now. So if you guys wanted to actually invest in Jauntboards, you can for as little as $100. That would be super cool. Like obviously that just sends energy our way, resources, and just like support. That really means a lot. We've had a lot of people give 100. We've had some people surprise us with like $20,000, $25,000 gifts. So it really, like, the sweet spot is whatever you're comfortable with that doesn't put you at a financial risk. Obviously, it's entirely up to you. But if you have any questions, that page is really robust and gives a really good case of how we think we'll make money, what our roadmap looks like, and obviously, like, if you want to talk more to Fletcher or I before you make that decision, we're available for that as well. Amazing. Well, thanks so much, guys. We'll be around. I'm sure you'll see us a lot. Okay. Happy Monday.
Thanks. See everyone. Bye.